So for all you iOS users out there, you are in luck because the Yamaha Digital Piano Controller app is fantastic. It's unfortunate it's not available for Android, but if you do have an iOS device, then you're going to be really happy with this app. So it does two things basically. The first thing is it makes controlling the keyboard a lot easier because there's a nice visual interface to do everything. A lot of the settings are pretty easy, like selecting voices you could do quite easily with the keyboard, but some of the more complex settings you need to refer to the manual to hold down this button, press this key to shift an octave or something. So this app can be super handy. So just for selecting voices, for example, you can select the voices on here, the nice visual interface, and you can see it's actually changing them on the piano. It also gives you a little bit of a description of each one, and there's recorded samples in there you can listen to if you want to as well. Now if I go into the settings, I can go to dual. This is how I'm going to do layering. So I can choose any two voices. So for example, if I want to put piano over top of strings, that's always nice. But I can do some other ones if I want. I could take an electric piano and I could combine it with a mellow piano. So you can hear both the voices in there. Now the other thing you can do in here that's kind of cool is I can go in and I can set the balance of each voice. So right now, you can hear both. If I go this way, all you're going to hear is the electric piano. If I go that way, all you're going to hear is the piano. So you can really do a lot of customization to make it sound the way that you want it to. Now, other cool things that you can do here is you can actually save this setting. And I could give that a name, like Tony's electric piano combination or something, so that it's easier to recall the next time. So especially if you've done a lot of different edits to that to shift which one you're hearing more of, that type of thing, that can be pretty handy. Now there's 4 different levels of reverb. The reverb choices in here are actually already by default, each voice is associated with one of the reverbs, and I played around with this a little bit, and to be honest I didn't hear too much of a difference between any of them, so I didn't really bother. I just took whatever the default was for each voice. I thought the stage one was probably the fullest sounding, and you can up the depth, which is also kind of cool. Now you can transpose, which is handy for us beginner players. So I can take my C and I can move it up a couple of steps to make it a D. Now the other thing that's kind of neat that you can do is you can actually tune. So if you show up at your band practice and your bass player and your guitar player have already tuned, but they're a little bit flat, and that gives you the option that you can tune to them, which is kind of cool. There's also 4 levels of touch sensitivity, well 3 levels and then 1 that's off. So that's off, that's soft, medium, and then hard. So given that I'm used to playing a fully weighted keyboard, I'd probably have this on hard, so you really have to press a little bit harder to get your response. Now song recording. This is kind of neat. There's built-in songs you can play along with, but what I'm going to do here is just use the keyboard to record something quickly. So if I press record and I just record that, I can play that back. But now if I go into here, that's the song that I just recorded on the keyboard. But what the app adds is the ability to do additional ones. So you can have as many as your device is going to hold. So I can record a new one here. And then that gets saved, and then I can access that and play it. I can't play that one back on the keyboard, but I can play that back using the app. Then we have the metronome. Pretty straightforward. You can set the tempo, you can set the time signature, so you can make it instead of 4/4, you can put the chime on the third beat for 3/4. And MIDI. There are some MIDI settings that you can set here. You can, for the most part, probably leave those as a default. But then with the MIDI USB out, you can actually get into any MIDI app. So like Synthesia. So that's pretty cool. So that's my review on the app. The app does really make your life a little bit easier, and it adds some functionality. So if you have an iOS device, that kind of beefs up the value of the Piaggero a little bit.